Warning: this video may contain triggers for those who have been victims of sexual abuse. Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Vampires. Cho-nyo-Gwishin. Do you understand the words, child? No, of course you do not. You never struck me as the linguist, or indeed the scholar of Korean mythology, but I can forgive you the latter. I have not been fully aware of Korean mythology until recently, and have had to become so due to the existence of this bloodline. I've known of them for some time, I just had no idea that they would still exist to this night. Cho-nyo-Gwishin, is there really any bloodline more vulgar than they? Perhaps I should give you a translation. Translation of Cho-nyo-Gwishin, a bloodline that is kept to between 10 and 20 members. I believe that they have never extended further than that, and I do hope that they are not a clan, for that would imply that their power and reach is perhaps more than I had anticipated, and that is not something that any of us will want. I believe they are kept to that number by their peers in the East, you know, the other Canaanites that dwell out there. For while they would never exterminate a clan in its entirety, they have a lot more respect for ancestry in the Orient than we do in the West, it would seem. They do not wish for the Cho-nyo-Gwishin to grow, because the translation of their name is the Virgin Dead. Cho-nyo-Gwishin, the Virgin Dead, those that died a horrible, violent death while still a virgin. What does that tell you? Probably nothing, except these Cho-nyo-Gwishin, being the vulgar creatures that they are, can only feed from virgins. They can only prey on virgins. They can only embrace virgins. If they try to feed from a virgin, well, the blood will go down easy and taste pure and brilliant. If they try and feed from a creature, or human rather, not a virgin, well, the blood will turn to ash in their mouth. That what must make one automatically think of the Ventru. They're clearly a bloodline, or just an obscure little branch of Clan Ventru, except their disciplines have more in common with Clan Toreador, so I suspect some weird amalgamation somewhere along the line. Perhaps Vedartha could not resist Arakhel's beauty. But either way, the Cho-nyo-Gwishin, a Korean bloodline. You may have thought the Nagaraja were the only ones to make domain in Korea. Perhaps that is true in this night, but the Cho-nyo-Gwishin originated there. They can only prey on virgins. What does that automatically make you think of? Children. Just as the pederast would argue, I cannot help that I must prey on young boys, Cho-nyo-Gwishin would have you believe, I cannot help but prey on children. At least 2/3 of them would. They are the most rank and debased. Worse than any Sabbat. Worse than any Bali. I am not some grand humanitarian, I will admit. I have fed on all and sundry. I have done so in a manner of different ways. However, there is no skill to hunting a child. There is no strength, there is no honour, there is no respect to be earned from doing so. And truly, there is no act more vulgar, in my opinion. And, just as any form of abuse, feeding from a victim will leave nightmares. I'll get on to that. You know, when a victim is abused sexually, they may well feel good while it is going on. The physical symptoms of sexual abuse can lead to very confusing moments for the victim when their body is telling them they're enjoying this, and the aggressor, their attacker, their rapist, is telling them that they are enjoying this. Their body seems to be corroborating the fact, and yet the mind is telling them that it is wrong. They feel that it is wrong. They know that what is going on is not right. They are being violated. They are being used. And they are. Now, no matter how good it felt for them during that physical act, the memories that will come after will traumatize them, will terrify them, will give them nightmares, night after night after night. Imagine a bloodline that feeds almost exclusively off of children, just for the ease of knowing that they are virginal. Those poor children and the nightmares they must suffer. I am no humanitarian, but I do not believe that if a life is to be lived, it is to be lived in fear. My aimed at terror, aimed at a much more corrupt bracket than children alone. So it is with the Cho-nyo-Gwishin. They feed from their victims, and they tell them it's all right. They feed from them, and they give that feel of pleasure as they drain the blood, just as all of our kisses do, with our fangs and tongue. But the victim will remember night after night that there was something wholly unnatural. The Cho-nyo-Gwishin are not skilled in dominating. In fact, I hear that they are almost incapable of learning it, which is again why I see the remove from them and Ventru. They can only embrace virgins, and so this leads you to the other third of the bloodline. As I say, their number is kept down. None respects these vampires, and yet they are consummate predators. They are the worst kind of predator. They have a right. The eldest among them teach it to the youngest, however the youngest are quite often slapdash about how often they follow it, and this right sees them hunting a victim. They are skilled with auspex, it is one of their disciplines, and they are able, apparently, to tell within the parameters that they set who is a virgin and who is not. After all, the idea of virginity is wholly subjective. Does one lose it after riding a horse particularly vigorously? Or perhaps one loses it merely through the act of copulation. The vampires that I know who penetrate with both phallus and fang, well, I do not hold them in particularly high regard. And the Cho-nyo-Gwishin, dare I say it, are known as such. They're called the Virgin Dead, and I think it is an epithet that does not do them favours. The Rapist Dead? Maybe. I do digress. This ritual that they follow, that they have followed for generations in Korea, and this is typically how they find a new embrace. They will find a victim, they will single him or her out with their auspex as a virgin, and they will hunt for nights, for weeks, for months, maybe even years, waiting and waiting, setting up surveillance, taking photos, watching and waiting, tracking every moment of their victim's life without their victim ever finding out. If the victim ever finds out, that's it, the hunt is called off, you lose kudos with your peers. No, you have to remain hidden in perpetuity, which is why perhaps they are also gifted with obfuscation. And after they have followed their victim for a suitable amount of time, they wait until that pinnacle moment, that moment when their victim is about to give away their virginity or have it taken. They will wait until that night, and they will organise things, they will shepherd things. Again, they have presence. That is how they are perhaps able to move minds around their victims. To organise it so that it is on a night. Whether they wish for their victims to be taken violently or with passion and love, it does not matter. For the victim will never lose or give away that virginity. It says at that point, these virgin dead will fall upon their victim. They will almost definitely kill the other party involved in this act of copulation, and they will embrace the virgin just at the moment the virginity was about to be gone forevermore. I heard an amusing story once where two Cho-nyo-Gwishin, they were following two victims, and amazingly these two were about to have sex with each other. No coordination between the two of them. They somehow picked these two, and those two, once embraced, ascended to a height of reverence in the bloodline that seems utterly bizarre and foreign to me, but we are talking about the Orient here, where things are very much foreign to us. They still exist within the sect that is made up of the Eastern clans and bloodlines out there, but, as I say, they do not hold title. Those that do are still higher than the Bushi, but the Bushi perhaps command more respect than these disgusting creatures. What role have they played in recent nights? Well, rather alarmingly, and this is perhaps why they have been brought to my attention, they have begun to spread from the Korean Isles. They have, or peninsula, they have apparently been sighted among immigrant population in Seattle and in Australia. Did you not know that? Cho-nyo-Gwishin not only preying upon their own race, but also on others now. So, where once we could mark them out racially, we now have to be aware that a resident of Tacoma may well be embraced by one of these Cho-nyo-Gwishin. How to tell one of these vampires? Well, they are almost universally young, but not always. Sometimes a monk has been embraced, a priest who has ascended to a point of spirituality where they have decided to assemble a cult where they're about to sow their divine seed. Well, not anymore, because the Cho-nyo-Gwishin will move in, embrace him and take away that holy act. Do the Cho-nyo-Gwishin use their members or give their bodies after embrace? That is something I do not know. They seem to take a great deal of pride in the fact that they maintain their purity in their victim and themselves before and after embrace. Really, is there any purity to a vampire? They see themselves as angels. They see themselves as keeping the line pure and unmolested. The very acts are ones of molestation. And if ever I were to find a Cho-nyo-Gwishin in the city in which I reside, well, foreign anomaly or not, worthy of research or not, I do not care whose toes I tread on diplomatically or not. This disgusting little aberration of a bloodline would be violated by my necromancy, torn limb from limb and forced to serve me in various ways that they would find oh so humiliating. No more purity for them. No more purity for the Cho-nyo-Gwishin. So no, you didn't know the meaning of that word. Well, now you do. Do stay alert and do tell me if any cross our borders. I would very much like to meet one.